good evening. It's another Thursday night. We're here in Horizon Worlds. We're in the Creators One Media Building. And I'm El Blanco. And as we see a lot of old members coming back, if you see this broadcast here on YouTube, you remember us as Meta News at the time. It's been a while since we've uh, acted or shot videos out of those different buildings, but they're still there. Those worlds are still there, and now we're Creators One. Um, as you can tell, when you come over here to this particular world, you'll see that we still have the old studios and the main studios that were new, and some of y'all will still probably remember the ones that we had that were independent because the business segment was a whole world by itself at one time. But once again, it's another Thursday night, and we do this every Thursday. We try to get started at 11 p.m. Eastern time, and uh, and then we get an opportunity to get it on the YouTube channel at Creators One News on the YouTube channel. That's where you can go view it if you don't have time to come to the studio. So tonight is one of those rare moments where the studio is totally empty. It's just us tonight, just the staff, and I had wanted to cover some things dealing with some things that's going on worldwide that's going to affect us even here. It's going to affect everything actually because everything is connected. Nothing's not connected to something else, right? So for a lot of you people who may think that, oh, I'm over here, I'm not doing this, it won't affect me. Um, it will, because what we're talking about that's going on is it's just a change of power, a change of where the money is moving. It's going to change industries, and when it changes certain industries, it's going to affect other industries because industries depend on other industries to exist. So, if you are a let's say if you are we'll give a small example. I know of a lot of print companies, right? Little print shops, because I should depend on one where I'm at, print shops where I should get all my documents scanned and printed and bind it, all my little court cases stuff. I didn't have to worry about trying to do all this stuff at home. I can go put in an order, drop it off, come back and pick it up. It could be like 20 pages. Well, it could be 20 packages just got to go out, and each package could be 80 pages, right? And you can just take it to a print shop, right? So where I was from, the print shop went out of business, and I can even understand it because there was only one print shop in a small place where I was from, right? Um, and they just went out of business, so they wasn't making the profit that they needed to make, or they wasn't maintaining the business that they were using, because in that particular area, a lot of attorneys, well, not a lot, but a few attorneys and a few legal companies that one print shop serviced left. And this print shop was literally like one block away from the county courthouse where all the county cases are going on, whether it's a district case or a circuit case, and it still wasn't making that. So whatever happened in the industry when it came to all the legal professionals that was in that area, patronizing that business, it failed. Okay, well, let's see how that would relate to people like us. So a lot of us, we have jobs, so we work on the outside, right? And a lot of us may have driving jobs. Well, those driving jobs will be affected when less drivers are needed when they start employing self-driving cars. And since they have already doing that, it's just a matter of time before other companies finally, make that transition, because legislation has already been passed. I think as of 2030, that would be the last time companies would be really focusing on combustible engines, right? As far as building cars, because that's another thing that this country passed based on a global initiative of reducing carbon emissions. So geopolitics affects our nation's own politics, which will affect our industries, and that's how one industry can affect another that could drizzle all the way down to affect us as individuals. So going back on why I even brought that up is because today, um, I was assisting one of my clients, but I'm not charging. I'm doing some pro bono work, like as always. And I was looking to do some legal research, right? But posing legal questions, right? and it was just to get an opinion, and I was using AI to get this opinion, right? Because you can actually tell AI how to go about getting that opinion so you don't just get anything. So anyone that's a builder in here, they know the importance of prompting, because if you play with any prompt, you know that the better you prompt, the better the outcome you're going to get. So you have to know how to be very distinctive. You have to be you must understand how to be particular, very descriptive, right? So, and then you got to be, you got to know what it is. You got to have real good information, background information on the subject matter, what you're dealing with, because then you really can go into it with the terms you need to ask it. So I was posing questions to the AI, and the AI completely shot down my whole position, totally shot down my whole position, told me I had no, it was weak. I had no standing. There was no legal grounds on that. Is this, that, and the third. And they slipped up after saying all of that, right? Because they said it convincingly. They said it with supporting law. They did all of that, right? But they slipped up and said one thing. And the reason that became most important for me to talk about tonight, because it's what I've been telling people in here from the first time I got in here, and I heard people say that they didn't own their own creations in here, and I was explaining to them why. So AI in this instance told me that this agreement that we have to use these AI services, right, that are free services, said that it's considered, it's characterized. I'm sorry, let me use the exact words. It's characterized as a bilateral adhesive contract. So, adhesive contracts, you need to know the definition for that, especially what it means by bilateral, because bilateral means it's two, lateral, going back and forth, and unilateral is one way, right? So a unilateral contract may be, hey, I got this service, right? Now, you can use it as long as you follow my rules, but it's no cost, no obligation, no nothing. Just you can use it, sign up, but you just got to follow my rules. Well, why would somebody let you use their stuff and just say just follow their rules? Because they're getting something for your use. In our case, they're getting data, right? And that's the most important thing in this day and time when you're trying to continue to build AI, and it needs data. It needs to be fed data. And the more AI you build, the more data you got to have, right? So that's why I would do a unilateral contract. But a unilateral contract doesn't bound you or bind you to anything. So you should be able to just walk away when you're ready and have no obligations. You don't owe nobody anything, and they don't owe you anything. But the AI told me that, hey, it's a bilateral adhesion contract. I'm like, wait a minute. All the stuff you said up to this point made perfect sense until now. So that means if anybody tells you something and they use a whole bunch of truth in what they're telling you, but they slide in a lie somewhere, then guess what? They might as well lie about everything else, because that lie is being used to substantiate the illusion of what they're saying. So I said, okay, I have to disagree with you on what a on the definition of what you're calling this kind of agreement for using this AI system, because this is what constitutes a unilateral contract, and this is what constitutes a bilateral contract according to these law principles. It came back and said, you're absolutely correct. And it allowed me to reconsider. Well, it just told me clearly the opposite, right? And then when I showed it what and why, it wasn't an argument or an opinion. I actually knew what a unilateral contract was and a bilateral contract was. And I took the AI's logic, how it was twisting it, and I knew it was twisting it once I saw the error, the lie, the misinformation. Once I saw that, then I knew all that was twisted. It made perfect sense, but it was being applied incorrectly because it's not those things. So once you realize, or once I realized that it was not a bilateral contract, and here's why, then it started dealing with me from the position of let's resolve this problem now. Now that I know that you know what it really is, even though I tried to tell you it wasn't, even though I gave you all the substantiation that it wasn't. But now that I know that you know, let's proceed, right? So for us in application, that's just the difference in someone coming into your world and they know how to script. They know exactly what the scripting is needed, right? While you're trying to use the editor to script, right? It's the difference. So you using the editor and you getting something out of it. It ain't exactly what you want, but someone who comes in who understands it because they know it's the exact use of it or the exact scripting technique it takes, they can come in and make you do exactly what you want to do. And that's the same thing with this AI. So what I'm saying to you is we're going to be affected by everything, and the very tools that the world is going to use will be AI, artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, and everything, right? They're going to use these things to bring in a new commercial environment, which is workforce, income, jobs, all that kind of stuff. And you have the same tools, and you're going to have to actually master these tools because these are the tools that you would need to compete because you won't be competing with me and you anymore. You're going to be competing with a system, right? A system that it will have the same ability that you have to think, right? And regardless what people are telling you about thinking, the same way your brain works, they have patterned these AIs to work. You know, so you study information, you logged it into your memory, and when you need to think about it or make an answer, you go back to that point where you have it stored. You pull that memory up, right? Same thing computer does. A computer has a cold storage or what they call the hard drive, and then it has RAM memory that your processor is using as it's working, as it's thinking. So you got RAM memory. So right now I'm talking to you from RAM memory because I'm talking about everything that I'm thinking about talking about. But if you ask me a question, I have to stop and think. I got to reach back into my hard drive in the back of my mind and say, oh, let me think back. Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, let me load that into my RAM side, my right brain. Let me start talking to you through my RAM memory. Same thing. So I guess tonight, the before I close out, the whole premise of tonight was I had an experience today, and that experience let me know that the very technology that I'm looking for to assist me is actually working against me if I'm not exhibiting a level of competence to make it recognize that I am to be assisted or not. Because the reason that's set up that way is no different than real life. A police officer knows who he can violate their constitutional rights and those he don't have to worry about violating their constitutional rights. And in most cases, I want to make sure we don't have a misunderstanding. I'm not talking about police officers as every police officer or even in general. I'm just saying when you see things that happen that you disagree with, when you're looking at YouTube and seeing how police officers have treated certain people, well, those people have been profiled already, right? You could be a ex-felon or you could be a person that's from a certain community or whatever. It's a profile there, right? And 9 times out of 10, if they just go all the way crazy with somebody, they know that person don't have the resources or the know-how or they can even defend, hold them accountable. As opposed to when you get a person like me and pull me over and the stuff that comes out of my mouth, everything is legal, everything is standard procedure, everything is protocol. You might not want to go that far with me. Okay, so basically that's what I want to talk about tonight. We must understand that everything affects us, everything, and we need to be more vigilant in reaching out beyond what we're doing personally and individually, and look at what's going on and see what we can contribute to the preservation and protection of what it is that we're looking for, that we plan on using, and we want to be here. We don't want to be taken away through all this political stuff that's going on. So once again, this is Creators One News under the Creators One Media banner. I am El Blanco, and it's been another one.